They have hidden in our midst for centuries. A strange race of genetically enhanced beings known as the Inhumans. The result of an ancient experiment forged on the plains of prehistory. They have evolved in seclusion. Until now. A bomb ignites, spreading the catalytic energies of the Terrigen mists. The fall of a kingdom gives rise to an army. As across the globe, countless thousands are revealed as Inhumans. Now, they are among us. Their powers are raw and untested. And as the pandemic continues to spread, the heroes of Earth must face the rise of the original superhuman race. Witness the Marvel Universe plunge into inhumanity.
Do these Inhumans even exist?
Not anymore.
Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So Marvel just announced that they're developing a spin-off TV series for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that might even debut by this fall. So I'll explain what they said, how it's supposed to work, and what I think those TV shows are going to turn into. What they said is that the spin-off show will draw from material developed in the back half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. So all this stuff that's happening with the Inhumans is probably what's going to lead up into the spin-off. That doesn't mean it's exclusively going to be an Inhuman show, but don't be surprised if they announce the title is Inhumans. I mean, talk about brand awareness. In the simplest of terms, ABC and Marvel are just doing the exact same thing that Arrow did when they spun off The Flash. What happened is they had Barry Allen, they brought him on in like a special 2-part episode, and then used that as like a litmus test to show the network to say that, hey, we want to develop a spin-off show. The network liked it so much they said, okay, go ahead and do a separate pilot. The rest is history. The Flash ended up being CW's biggest hit of all time. Marvel wants to exploit more of their IP, ABC wants more popular shows, so naturally they're just going to try and mine like the most interesting things that they can. Right now that's Inhumans, just, big group from the comics that hasn't been explored a lot on TV and the movies. What about timing? When is this show supposed to air? What they've said so far is that the plan is that they would premiere it in the fall, as soon as the fall. That doesn't mean that'll end up happening. They might end up pushing it. But for all intents and purposes, just expect it to air alongside Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the fall, just like The Flash and Arrow air on different nights. I know a lot of you are asking, what does this mean about Agent Carter? Because Agent Carter was like their other show. They haven't said anything about it, but they just made all these big plans for another spin-off show. It doesn't mean that it's canceled. Agent Carter is still like unofficially getting a season 2. Typically May is when networks make their final decisions about which new shows they're picking up and which shows they're canceling. One of the issues I think that Agent Carter runs into is that it's more about characters and less about spectacle. And typically what brings in like big eyeballs like all across the world is the spectacle part. The show itself is amazing. Agent Carter is great, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the other side of that coin provides more opportunities for big spectacles and really personal character moments. The same thing happened with Arrow whenever they first started making that show. It was supposed to be really dark and gritty, no superpowers, so like the spectacle level was turned way, way down. Cut to a couple years later, Barry Allen, superpowered individual, debuts on TV, everyone loves it, and networks realize, oh, we can do these crazy superpowers, and people will watch it, people really enjoy this. So I feel like this is Marvel and ABC responding to people wanting to see, powers versus powers, as opposed to regulars versus powers. What about the cast though? I know everyone's asking, does that mean the characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will transition to the new show? No, I think it'll be just like Arrow and The Flash. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast will stay on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What'll happen is they'll bring in a new big character that they think can lead the spin-off show, and then they'll build that show around them. Then you'll have characters like Skye, Inhumans with powers that can jump back and forth between shows. And obviously Phil Coulson is always going to jump back and forth between all the shows and all the movies. There's even a rumor that Coulson is going to be the one on the Netflix shows to assemble the Defenders, to go to Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and say, hey, I'm putting a team together. So if you haven't been watching them, I'd recommend you check out Arrow and The Flash just to see how the characters bounce back and forth between those shows, because I think Marvel and ABC are going to do the exact same thing. Of all the possible names that they could give the spin-off show, there's Secret Warriors and Inhumans at the top of the list. It depends on how on the nose they want to be, because there's going to be an Inhumans movie, so I don't know necessarily that they'd want a movie with the same name as a TV show. Although there is a Flash TV show and there's going to be a Flash movie. It really just depends on how they want to portray all these Inhuman people and whether or not they're going to do something like Terrigen Bomb and introduce a whole bunch of new Inhumans. That would have to come after an event on the magnitude of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming down during Winter Soldier. We really have no idea what Marvel is going to do to develop Inhumans inside the movie universe before the Inhumans movie. We've only seen them on TV so far. They could do Terrigen Bomb, or they could just like slowly tease them out. If you're not familiar with the Terrigen Bomb, a couple years ago in the comics, Black Bolt dropped a Terrigen Bomb on the Earth, creating thousands and thousands of new Inhumans all at the same time. That was actually what led to the creation of the new Kamala Khan Miss Marvel. Wouldn't that be awesome if she were on the spin-off show? That would be badass. So here's my big question for you guys. Who do you want to see on this new spin-off show? And do you think that they're going to call it Inhumans? I'll say at the top of my list, what I'd really like to see is a version of Runaways with Inhumans. Like they're pushing Inhumans so hard right now that they have to be involved in some way, but Runaways just feels like a really fun show. Something they can use to balance out the seriousness that you see on S.H.I.E.L.D. every week. There is a lot of funny stuff on S.H.I.E.L.D., but it is a very dark show. So I think it'd be fun if like they had their version of The Flash, a show that could be about powers versus powers and have a little bit more fun with itself. In related news, I know everyone's asking when are the Daredevil episodes going to drop? So midnight tonight, as I'm posting this video on Thursday, midnight Thursday Pacific time is when everything is coming. What I'll probably do is post my first spoilery Easter egg video by like early Friday sometime, so be sure to subscribe to get that. Don't worry, if you don't get Netflix, you can't get Netflix, eventually they will release the show on DVD. But really, I would recommend doing anything you can to watch it as soon as possible. Do not wait. It is so much fun. You guys have no idea. I'm also working on a Game of Thrones super recap from like everything from season 1 to season 4 for people that aren't caught up. So I'll try and post that tonight. So lots of Daredevil, lots of Game of Thrones coming this weekend. It's going to be so much fun. I hope you guys got some extra sleep this week. While you guys wait for all that stuff to drop, in case you haven't seen it, you can click here for my non-spoilery review of the first couple of episodes of Daredevil. Don't worry, no spoilers in there. And you can click here for all my Game of Thrones Season 5 videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys in a little bit.